Hi, today I would like to discuss something that is live from the trenches, something that we're working on right now. Among other things, we have started a survey among developers who has experience dealing with legacy code to understand some of their challenges. Maybe with this will be better. So, as I was saying, we recently launched a survey to understand the challenges in dealing with legacy code. And one element that emerged more frequently was the need for documenting code. Now, why specifically in the case of legacy code, I think documentation is particularly important. And there are three factors. The first one is that these code bases are typically very big, much bigger than the typical modern code base that we may be used to deal with. For example, if you take some successful open source framework written in Java, frameworks that appears large to you may be in the order of the high tens, low hundreds of thousands of lines. This pale in comparison with some legacy code bases that we have encountered that are in the millions or tens of millions of lines of code. So very different order of magnitude. And this could be the case also because legacy code is, well, it has been written over a long period. So, little by little, the amount of code increase, but also because frequently it's risky to modify legacy code. So people take a huge amount of code, a huge component, they copy it, change it a little bit, and hope for the best. So because of this attitude, of course, the amount of code of a code base tend to explode over the decades. So legacy code bases are big, one factor. Then typically, when you're dealing with a legacy code base, it's not a legacy code base that you have written completely by yourself. Typically, you have at least inherit a part of this by someone else. And as we all know, we have this perception that it's more difficult to understand code written by others because they may follow different paradigms. And in particular, if it's legacy code, because some code may have been influenced by the typical way in which one developed maybe 20 years ago that could be different from what we will develop now. So if the code that I write myself today is the one that is the most familiar to me, code written by someone else today could be sort of familiar, but code written by someone else decades ago can be very unfamiliar because they may use very different patterns and idioms. So that is a second factor. And the third factor is the lack of tests. So when we are dealing with a modern code base, we can understand things by trial and error. You change something, you run the test don't pass, you go back and you refine your understanding of the code. And you learn by doing this. In legacy code, typically there are no tests, so you cannot do that. And because there are no tests and you cannot experiment in this way, you want to be really sure about what you're doing. And because of this, documentation is more relevant to you. So these are the different factors that makes documentation more important with legacy code. Okay, great. So what is the answer? Let's write more documentation. Well, yeah, that would be the answer, but it's a little bit like when the doctor tell you that you should exercise more, stop drinking, and eat more vegetables. Say, thank you very much. I knew already that I was looking for a magical solution that prevent me that remove the need for me to becoming a better person, but still get the same benefits one will get from being a better person. So in this case, I think the challenge that we may want to answer as an industry is how can we get documentation without writing it? And I think nowadays there are things that we can already do because we can analyze code and extract metadata and use that to generate diagrams to provide some documentation automatically. And perhaps we can combine these with LLM-based techniques so that we can also provide some sort of text describing maybe what another part of the system is doing without the need of us jumping to the piece of code and reading and spending 3 days figuring out what that particular module is doing. So I think this is one direction where we will see more work in the software language engineering area. And of course, this is a challenge that we are also working with. And let's see what we can build together. Thank you. I would really love to hear about your experience dealing with legacy code and documenting legacy code. So if you can, please add a comment or write to me and let me know. I'm always looking for the chances of learning more on this topic. Thank you. Have a great day.